Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today our subject is accountancy. Chapter is accounting ratios and we have divided it in 6 parts. So first part we have already discussed in the previous video. This is the second part of part 2 of 6. In this part we will discuss limitations and types, right? So limitations in respect of accounting ratios will be of two types. One will be limitations arising out of limitations with financial statements, right? Financial statements, because these accounting ratios we are deriving from financial statements. So whatever limitations are there in financial statements, we will also have some limitations with the accounting ratios derived out of those financial statements, right? And second type of limitation will be out of the accounting ratios itself. What are the limitations of the accounting ratios? First type is limitations of accounting ratios arising out of limitations with financial statements, and the second type is limitations of accounting ratios. So first we will discuss the limitations of ratio analysis which arise primarily from the nature of financial statements, right? So those are of how many types? 5 types, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First is limitations of accounting data. Limitations of accounting data. So it is presumed that accounting data is error free, perfect, and doesn't contain any erroneous things. It is presumed, but it doesn't happen like that, right? If we take a simple case of profit of a company, so what happens? Profit of a company is not a figure which will be arrived at, suppose XYZ Limited. The same company for the same period could have two different kind of profits if prepared by two different kind of finance managers. Suppose finance manager is A. So what happens? He could come out with a profit of 1 lakh rupees, and with the same financial statements, finance manager B could come out with profit of 90,000 or 1,10,000, right? And it's a decision of the management also what profit to declare. So limitations of accounting data, though they give an unwarranted impression of precision and finality, they are not so precise and so error free, right? It is merely an opinion of the accountant based on application of accounting policies. Opinion plus accounting policies, right? Suppose finance manager A has X opinion and uses Y accounting policies, the profit will be some figure like this, could be. If finance manager is B having Y opinion plus accounting policy Z, so under this person the profit of the same firm with the same financial performance could be different, right? So opinion plus accounting policy both matter. What kind of accounting policies have been adopted and what kind of opinion the management has so far as the declaration of profits is concerned. Second is, it ignores price level changes, right? For example, suppose same company XYZ Limited, during FY 2089 its net profit was 1 lakh, and during the next year 2019-20 net profit is 125,000. So this figure of profit will not reveal anything about the price level changes. It will presume to a very large extent that either prices have remained constant or they have changed in a negligible way, right? Whereas factual position is that a majority of the times we are under inflationary conditions, means prices of commodities keep on, goods and services keep on increasing, maybe marginally, but they keep on increasing, right? So ignores price level changes, right? Then the third limitation is limitation related to limitations of financial statements. Third is, it ignores quality or non-monetary aspects. Ignores quality or non-monetary aspects. So whether we see P&L or balance sheet or cash flow statement, we don't come across quality or non-monetary aspects. We come only under quantity and monetary aspects. So it ignores this important aspect. Fourth one is variations in accounting practices, right? So say valuation of inventory, right? Depreciation method or treatment of intangibles. So what happens? Variations in accounting practices, we may not be able to make a fair comparison between the financial statements or accounting ratios of two companies. A company could be following X method of valuation of inventory, X method of depreciation and X method of treatment of intangibles. Other company could be considering different method of these three things or certain other things also. So their accounting ratios may not be comparable. So what did we say? Variations in accounting practices. And the fifth one is forecasting. So it says forecasting for future, estimates and projections for the future being made purely based on historical data may not be a correct way of making estimates and projections or forecasting the performance and financials of an enterprise for future, right? Forecasting purely based on historical data may not be appropriate, right? So these were the 5 items of, what were those 5 items? Limitations arising out of the financial statements, right? Now we will go to limitations arising out of accounting ratios itself, right? So the most important limitation arising out of accounting ratios is that accounting ratios are means to an end and not an end in themselves. Right? First major item of limitation with the accounting ratios is they are means to an end and not an end in themselves. Right? They are means through which we can try to analyze, interpret and try to know about profitability, efficiency, liquidity, solvency of an enterprise. But in themselves, by themselves, that they are nothing. They can't do anything. They are only a means to an end. Right? Means to an end. Right? Second one is lack of ability to resolve problems. Lack of ability to resolve problems or issues. Right? Accounting ratios in themselves, they lack the ability to resolve problems or issues with an enterprise. They are not in a position to resolve any problem or any issue. What do? They are indicative. These accounting ratios are indicative. Means they indicate certain signals, certain trends to the analyst, whosoever he or she may be. They are indicative in nature. They indicate. So, whether some action is to be taken or not, and if yes, some action is to be taken, what action is to be taken, it will depend upon the analyst or the decision makers. So, lack of ability to resolve problems issues. Third item of limitation of accounting ratios is lack of standardized definitions. Lack of standardized definitions. Universally, there is no standardized definition universally acceptable. Right? There is no definition which has been laid down and it has been made universally acceptable. So the best example is in respect of, suppose for example, current liability. So here one definition could be that all items of current liability are to be considered. Another definition is all items of current liability minus bank overdraft. All items of current liability minus bank OD. So, there is no universally laid down acceptable standard definition. Fourth item is limitation of accounting ratios. Fourth one, lack of universally acceptable levels. Lack of universally acceptable levels. Various levels of account ratios. This regarding various levels of accounting ratios, there is lack of universally acceptable levels. There are no laid down universally acceptable levels which are applicable to all enterprises. If you talk about India in so many cases, industry averages may not be available for so many kinds of industries, or if industry averages are available, they cannot be applied to so many units in that line of industry, because many units will be very small, some will be small, some will be big, some will be very big. So it is very difficult to apply those standards to all these units having different levels of operations or different levels of different sizes of balance sheet or operating ratios. Lack of universally acceptable. Then fifth major limitation of accounting ratios is ratios based on unrelated figures. Ratios based on unrelated figures. As we had discussed, what we had discussed? Furniture and fixture 1 lakh rupees, and what we had discussed? Purchases 1 lakh rupees. So they are unrelated. There is no connect between the two, right? So there is no relevance to these two figures for arriving at any ratio, or you can say any meaningful ratio, any useful ratio. Ratios based on unrelated figures. A ratio calculated for unrelated figures would essentially be a meaningless exercise. So what do we come at finally? We come at ratios should be used with due consciousness of their limitations while evaluating the performance of an organization and planning the future strategies for its improvement, right? So we can take 2 minutes and recollect what we have discussed. In part 2 of 6 we have discussed two things, limitations and types, right? Limitations we have discussed of two types. One type of limitation, the limitations of ratio analysis, which arise primarily from the nature of financial statements. From the nature of financial statements. And the other one is limitations of accounting ratios themselves. So first we will discuss related to accounting financial statements, right? Those are mainly 5. First is, what is the first? Limitations of accounting data. Though we consider them to be flawless and perfect, they are not, because two things matter: opinion of the management and the accounting practices follows. They have a huge impact. Second thing is, it ignores price level changes. Various parameters of an enterprise over the last so many years won't reflect anything about the price level changes over that particular period of time, right? Third one is, it ignores quality or non-monetary aspects. Financial statements contain only monetary aspects. So whatever ratios we derive out of those financial ratios also contain only monetary aspects. They ignore quality or non-monetary aspects. Fourth, variations in accounting practices. A company following X accounting practices, another company in the same line of industry of the same size of operations following Y accounting practices, the two financial statements or accounting ratios cannot be compared. They won't be comparable because accounting policies followed are different by the two enterprises. Fourth is done. Fifth one is forecasting. Forecasting means estimating and projecting for the future. So forecasting based on historical data alone may not be appropriate, right? Then we come to limitations of accounting ratios. There are also 5. First is accounting ratios are means to an end. Means not the end. They are means to arrive at some conclusion, some decision. They are not an end in themselves or by themselves. Second one is it lacks ability to resolve problems. Accounting ratios themselves cannot solve any problems, but they are indicative in nature. They indicate something, some trends, something to the analyst or the decision makers. It is left to the analyst or the decision makers to take or not take decisions. They indicate. Third one is lack of standardized definitions. Universally, there is no universally acceptable definitions. There are no definitions which are universally acceptable in respect of these things. Somewhere X will be there, some other place Y will be there, some other place Z will be there. So there is a lack of a standardized definition. Then lack of universally acceptable levels. The various levels of accounting ratios in respect of various parameters, international standards have not been laid down. So in some geography you will find X, others you will find Y, still others you will find Z. If we talk only of India, one country, it's very difficult to find industry averages, and that too which can fit to very small size, medium size and big size. It's very difficult to find industry averages, right? And the fifth one is ratios based on unrelated figures. So we know that the ratios based on unrelated figures are of no use and they don't serve any purpose because we cannot make any meaning out of them. Now we will discuss types of ratios. Types of ratios, two types of ratios are there: traditional classification, which arise out of financial statements, profit and loss, balance sheets, etc., and functional classification. Functional, they are liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, activity or turnover ratios, and profitability ratios, right? So generally functional ratios are used more predominantly. More of it in use is functional ratios and less is traditional ratios, right? So we'll discuss. So traditional ratios, a statement of profit and loss ratios. These are the ratios arising out of a statement of profit and loss, right? Like what are they like? A statement of profit and loss ratios: gross profit to revenue, gross profit to revenue from operations, right? This ratio comes out of profit and loss statement. Then balance sheet ratio. What is balance sheet ratio? Current liability, current assets upon current liability. Current asset also comes from balance sheet, current liability also comes from balance sheet. This is called balance sheet ratio. And third one is composite ratio. As the name suggests, one figure will be from P&L, another will be from balance sheet. And for example, ratio of credit revenue from operations, credit revenue from operations to receivables, right? So credit revenue from operations is coming from profit and loss statement and receivables are coming from balance sheet. So that is why it is called composite ratios. Now we go to functional classification, right? Liquidity ratios. What is liquidity? For running smoothly, any enterprise needs liquid cash, right? Business needs liquid funds. The ability of the business to pay the amount due to the stakeholders as and when they fall due. What is liquidity? To meet its commitments, business needs liquid surplus, liquid funds. The ability of the business to meet its payment obligations to its stakeholders whenever they fall due. That is called liquidity, right? And it's very short term in nature, short term. Then solvency ratio. What is solvency ratio? Solvency ratio is long term in nature. To make it very simple, we can say the extent to which assets cover commitments of payments made for future. It primarily relates to outside stakeholders and it is long term in nature. Activity or turnover ratio. It shows the efficiency of an enterprise, right? It shows the efficiency of an enterprise, how the funds have been used, whether they are efficiently used or not. So this refers to the ratio that I calculated for measuring the efficiency of operations of the business based on effective utilization of resources. These are also called efficiency ratios. Profitability ratio. It refers to the analysis of profits in relation to revenue from operations or assets in relation to assets employed in the business, and the ratios calculated to meet this objective are known as profitability ratios, right? So types of ratios, two types of classifications: traditional classification, three types of ratios. Profit and loss ratio, the figures come out of profit and loss statement. Gross profit to revenue from operations ratio, GP ratio. Gross profit is from P&L, revenue from operations is from P&L. Balance sheet ratio, both the items will arise out of balance sheet. Suppose current liability, current asset upon current liability. Current asset also comes from balance sheet, current liability also comes from balance sheet. Composite ratio, one item will come from P&L, the other will come from the balance sheet. Credit revenue from operations from P&L, receivables from balance sheet. So the ratio of credit receivables from operations to receivables is composite ratio. Then when we come to functional ratios, which are more used, put to more use, liquidity ratios, which we have discussed, short term in nature. It shows the ability of the enterprise to meet its commitments to stakeholders as and when they fall due. Short term. Solvency ratio, it's generally long term in nature and mainly relates to outside stakeholders. And in the simplest language we can say solvency, extent to which assets cover commitments of payments made for future. Activity or turnover ratio, this refers to the ratio that are calculated for measuring the efficiency of an enterprise. How efficiently the resources are used. They are called efficiency ratios. Profitability ratios, it refers to the analysis of profits in relations to revenue from operations or analysis of profits in relations to assets employed in the business by the enterprise. And the ratios calculated to meet this objective are known as profitability ratios, right? So what did we discuss? We discussed limitations arising out of financial statements. They were limitations of accounting data, ignores price level changes, ignores quality or non-monetary aspects, variations in accounting practices and forecasting, right? And limitations arising out of accounting ratios, they are means to an end. They are not an end in themselves. They are indicative in nature. They are indicative in nature. And the second one, lack of ability to resolve problems issues. They don't resolve problems or issues, but they indicate so that we can get help and try to resolve issues. Third one is lack of standardized definitions, right? Fourth one is lack of universally accepted standardized levels of various parameters. Fifth one is ratios based on unrelated items, unrelated figures, right? Unrelated data. And we have discussed types of ratios, traditional and functional. Traditional are, what are traditional? A statement of, based on a statement of P&L, balance sheet, composite ratios. And what are the functional? Liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, efficiency ratios, and liquidity, solvency, efficiency, profitability ratios, right? I hope you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, you may please approach me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you very much.